Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, I guess, depending on where you are. It is, technically afternoon where I am in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to Defying Expectations Over 60. This is my 11th episode. And what I do in this live stream or podcast, whatever you want to call it, is I talk to men and women over the age of 60 who are still making an impact in the world with their work, with their voice, with what they bring to themselves and others. And today, I'm really excited to introduce you to a new friend of mine, Jeffrey Tyson. He calls himself the King of Comeback, and he talks to people about the thoughts they're having in their heads. And it's not just young people who are having negative conversations with themselves in their heads. It's people of all ages. And his special gift is to talk to people about the thoughts they're having about them. They're telling themselves about themselves. So I love that idea. And I want to introduce Mr. Jeff Tyson. And Jeff, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit further?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me as a guest on your show. I love the Defying Expectations. That's been my life's journey. So I really appreciate that. And as you mentioned, my name is Jeff Tyson, and I'm kind of known as the King of Comeback. I got that name from just defying the odds all throughout my life, from a little boy to an adult. And what I'm doing recently is, I'm in the real estate business, and I'm kind of known as the King of Rehabs.
Okay.
Generating millions of dollars a year in revenue in that business, Suki. But now, because of COVID, I'm able to share my message on a global basis and tell people the gifts that they possess between their ears. Changing the message, right? Changing the message, because as a child, I grew up one of those kids that everybody around me told me all the things I couldn't do. I wasn't worthy and all that. But my parents, man, thank goodness for them, Suki. They said, no, son, you can be and do whatever you want to do. Believe in yourself. That wasn't easy. They said it, but I'm like,
not easy. Not easy.
Oh, man. Thanks. I need help right now.
Yeah. Don't you find sometimes that we collect evidence that we aren't enough, that we aren't worthy of success or whatever it is that we have?
And that collection for me was at an early age. And it was for people, like older cousins and people that are supposed to love you and protect you, right? And they were the ones that poured that in me. And for a long time, Suki, I struggled with that. Even as an athlete, I grew up a little bit. I could see myself playing in the NFL, and people told me that. But that message still carried on, and it led me down some dark paths, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that found relief in alcohol, found relief in, as Bill Clinton said, I never did smoke that marijuana.
Never did inhale. That's right.
So, but it just, man, boy. But today's message is a little different.
Yeah.
And it's about defying the expectations through practice.
Yep. Yeah. And so how do you do that? So what is your as you practice this, what does that look like?
Well, as an athlete, I learned a couple of things about overcoming adversities, right? And injury and conditioning. And I set a goal, first of all. And then I began to carry those practices into my personal life and self-development. One of my mentors told me a long time ago, said, Jeff, you want to change the message about yourself in your head, begin to pour in different things. So he said, read 15 minutes a day. And
breathe. Just breathe. Yes.
Read, positive book, Think and Grow
Rich.
15 minutes a day before you go to bed, make sure you're reading that. And then write down something that you see yourself being that you just don't think you are right now. So write it down. Who are you, Jeff Tyson? Right? What do you want to be, Jeff Tyson? And at that time, I wanted to be a football player, right?
Right.
And those things. And then as I got into corporate business, I wanted to be a CEO of a company. So I write that down. And there's so much power in envisioning it. And I was an athlete, so I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and it was going to struggle about that. But man, just those two things will help me turn around some things instantly.
It's very interesting. I was just talking with someone yesterday, and I'm trying to remember who. Oh, it was a woman named Sharon. And she was talking, talk about the power of putting something positive in your mind. Read a book for 15 minutes. She said that there are studies that have shown that if you're anxious or nervous about something, you're going to do a presentation, a discussion, a conversation, even with someone, if you spend just 15 seconds recalling a warm memory, right? Just a warm memory. It could be a beautiful summer day. It could be something nice somebody told you. But if you recall something warm and positive, that the outcomes are almost universally better than if you hadn't.
It's amazing because I'm a believer in energy. We're all energy, and what we give out, we get back. And that 15 seconds, our bodies can adjust just like that. That's the gift.
Well, it's miraculous, really.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to be able to look at my body and everything it does for me every day, and my brain and everything it does for me every day, and not say this is a miracle, and it's got to be. It's God. To me, it has to be divine. It has to have a divine source.
You know what? I agree 100%, and I'm kind of mixed energy and spiritually, and whoever you believe in or however you believe, it's just not us. It's much greater than us. I spent some time with my grandkids over the weekend, and I have a 1.5-year-old, and I watch her and I see her brain, and it's just like, oh my God.
And they are so them. At that age, they are 1,000% them.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else crowding in saying you're not, you're less than, or anything like that. They have ultimate confidence.
Yes.
They are just 100% them.
And that's why I tell people, try to live your life through the imagination of a child. Because like you just said, they know no fear. They don't know no.
No limitations, no no's. Yes.
No limitations. My grandson, he's got his parents twisted around like this. And he was whining. They said, no, we're not going to eat. Well, after about 5 minutes, guess who won that?
Yeah.
Don't do it, but anyway.
They are so honest about what they want and when they want it.
Yes. And will not stop until they get it.
Yeah, they will not stop. So that's really key, right? I find in my life, and I don't know if you've had this experience, but I let a lot of things stop me from getting what I want.
Yeah.
And it could be I'm telling myself something that maybe somebody told me. I'm telling myself a story that someone told me about myself. Oh, you'll never, or you can't, or you won't. And I'm like, oh, those things pop up at the most inopportune time, and they keep me from getting what I know I want in the time that I know. So how do you help people through those thoughts?
Boy, I was just sitting here listening to you talk about it. And the best way I found, and people have told me, is that I share my experience. You mentioned so many different times. I had like 15 things flashed through my head about, the things I tried and had success on or failed, and people told me I couldn't do it. And number one is whatever. This is a little more than I can share right now, but whatever's going on in your mind that's really in there, that's showing up, this short conversation is not going to help you. But be willing to get some help, at some point.
I've found in my life, there are so many ways to put a mirror in front of me. One of the people who's listening right now, Kenyatta Turner, is one of my coaches. And she is one of the people who's been instrumental in helping me see in the mirror how I'm showing up, what my thinking is. I may not even think, oh, I'm stopping myself because blah, blah, blah. A coach, someone who cares for you, that will have an honest conversation. It helps you put a mirror in front of you. Doing personal growth classes, seminars, that helps you put a mirror in front of you in a kind of a structured way. I know when I got married, I was 39, so I had been on my own for quite a long time. And I feel like that put a mirror in front of me too, because how I was being, how I was reacting, how the choices that I was making was being mirrored back to me in a reaction of some sort, good, bad, indifferent. It was really surprising to me.
You be prepared for some things you don't want to see when you get that information. But some simple things really just change. If you really want to make a difference and you understand that the environment that you're in isn't on the same path as you are, be willing to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and find peace with yourself. For me, it was a long journey. I've been working on myself for over 30 years almost, and surrendering how I thought life would be.
Right.
The fact of what roles I played in that,
Mm-hmm.
and then began to get guidance along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do this journey alone.
No, you don't. And it's always interesting to look at your behaviors and say, how is that showing up in the rest of my life?
Because it goes through all areas of our lives. Our good behaviors and bad behaviors don't just show up in marriage. They don't just show up in society. They show up everywhere.
Yes, definitely. So, Jeff, now, do I remember this correctly? You have a podcast?
Actually, yes. A blessing from COVID, in spite of all the things going on, was it, again, defying odds. I was not on social media or anything like that, but was introduced to the platforms that we see today, and was able then to create a Conversations with Jeff YouTube channel, Sufi, around helping people becoming aware of and being empowered through change, empowering their lives to change, through changing the conversation that goes on with themselves, about themselves, nonstop, 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. So Conversations with Jeff. Please, when you hear this, we have some really cool things planned for 2023, and we want folks to be able to come away from our show empowered and inspired, and know that life's not over. 60 in the beginning of a new phase. 60 is the new 40, baby.
Well, that's what I say. 60 is the new 40. And the people growing up always said, oh, age is just a number. And I sure understand that now. We are lucky to be, I know you're 64. I am 63, turning 64 in April. And I feel 35. I know I probably look 64, but inside I feel 65. And that's the important part.
Yes.
Like, the wrinkles don't matter. The white hair doesn't matter. It's like, what are you doing to grow? For me, what are you doing to help other people grow? And I know that's what you're doing as well.
Yes.
Making an impact. So how did you discover you wanted to make that kind of impact?
Well, that's actually probably about 20 years ago, 23 or 4 years ago, when I realized that I saw Les Brown on a stage, and he was talking about his story and how he struggled, because I wasn't the dumb twin. I was just the dumb kid in my mind and in school, but I was always told that, man, I expressed a feeling towards people that made them warm and welcome and wanted to talk to me. But I hid behind the stories, Suki, that I'm not good enough. No one wants to listen to me.
Right. What good is this impact that I have on people?
Yes.
Yeah. How does that have any power? It doesn't. I'm just showing up, and I'm just a dumb kid.
just a dumb kid. No one wants to listen to you, But what I found out is that, oh man, there's a different side to that story, And so I began a journey, picking up a phone, shaking like this, trying to do videos. And,
oh my gosh, I can so relate.
I'm gonna do a series of all the bloopers, Suki, that I've had. So people can understand it's just showing up, facing that fear head on. Do something every day that scares you.
Oh man.
Do the thing that you don't want to do first, because that's the most important thing.
And it gives you the evidence that you can, and you are, and you will.
Yes. It's all about the evidence.
And
so I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Yeah, you did. So, and when you say it's all about the evidence, we're, I think I mentioned it earlier, we are always collecting evidence that we're not.
Yes.
And one of the things that I'm learning right now, I'm in a 90-day goal setting program, and I tend to gloss over my wins. And that's a way, I'm discovering that that's a way of me discounting the evidence. that
Wow.
I am who I aspire to be already.
Wow.
And so I'm learning to celebrate my wins, whether it's picking up the phone even though I'm shaking,
Yeah.
whether it's making having another interview this week.
Yeah.
All of those things, if I give myself permission to celebrate the baby steps,
Yeah.
then I am collecting evidence
Mm.
of my impact.
Yeah.
And I so love the idea of that, than collecting evidence of me, that I'm not enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Do
I
you
was, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how do you celebrate yourself?
Well, first of all, I had to learn how to celebrate myself. I had
Right.
to really go back and get in touch with that little boy. I tell people all the time, when I finally was able to reach down and grab the hand of that 5-year-old boy that was standing at the bus stop, scared to get on the bus, and he looked up at me, Suki, and told me, he said, "I knew you'd come back."
Wow.
When I was able to make that connection to that, then it began to help me, and it took a while
Yeah.
to learn to love myself first.
Mhm.
Realize that I didn't want to look at those wins because I didn't really feel worthy of those wins.
Mhm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I notice some people they're like, well, how do you meet your own self when you're 5?
Mm.
And I have been practicing that as well. I've been practicing just closing my eyes, taking a deep breath and settling in and seeing myself when I was 5 years old and 6 years old. And I'm very tall. I'm almost 6 feet tall, and I was very tall as a kid. And so I see this skinny girl sitting on a chair with arms and legs kind of everywhere, and it's like, who who couldn't appreciate that?
Yeah.
You know? So I've practiced looking at myself and realizing that regardless of what I do and what I have, that who I am, who I'm being, perhaps, is worthy,
Yes.
is just by showing up.
Just by showing up, and finding some surrender. You
That's
know,
a really good word. What does that mean to you?
Ooh, for me, it was like I give. It used to, for a long time, it was a word of weakness.
Right. Submissive.
Submissive. I would never surrender. I'll fight to the end. But in order to move forward, I had to surrender all of the things that helped me, all the beliefs and thoughts and messaging around that, and freedom. Surrender is freedom.
Oh, I love that.
Mm.
So Kenyatta, who's been watching, she has her business is Freedom Empire Consulting, and she's all about freedom and the freedom to be, the
Yes.
freedom to know more, better, all of those things.
Yes. It's such a gift.
It is a gift. And I have the same problem with surrender because as a woman, especially, um, I fight against being a stereotypically submissive. And quite frankly, I don't know a lot of women who are.
Yeah.
And we probably are in some ways and not in other ways. But I've always fought against being a submissive woman,
Yes.
and so the word surrender was like, well, do I need to be a doormat?
Yeah.
And um, it's more like in worry of using a buzz phrase, is surrendering to your own amazingness
Yes. Yes.
and not getting in your way.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But all those things, those beliefs and reasons why you can't, are what you're really giving away to. You're putting that someplace else,
Putting it someplace else. Yeah.
so that the other piece can have space. Because there's only room for one.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah. I like that term holding space too. I think it's used a lot, or at least it's used a lot by the people that I talk to, like
mhm.
holding space for yourself. And it's a very important thing to do. And I think that's what you're doing by telling folks to move those conversations out of the limelight, out of the front and center stage of their brains.
That's right.
Mm.
And if nothing else, I tell people, hey, I'm the dressed up garbage can. Everything on the outside always look good for a long time, right, Suki? And man, but just imagine 100-degree temperature and you lift the lid of a garbage can that had everything in it, rotten eggs, spoiled. Just think of it. And that funk was all pain.
Yeah.
I mean, and we don't have time to go into it now, but all these things lead to relieving yourself of that pain.
Yeah.
Seeing it with love.
Yes. Yes. And treating yourself the way that a lot of us treat others.
Yes.
Someone told me this weekend when I was at a seminar, I was on staff for a seminar, and somebody told me, mentioned, would you hang out with someone who spoke to you the way you speak to yourself?
Mm.
And for a lot of us, it's no.
Yes.
Yeah. It's no, you just don't want to be around that kind of negativity.
Don't want to be around that. But the loudest voice we listen to, unfortunately, oftentimes is the voice of our own that is telling us, no, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And my mentor says all the time, the greatest sales job you need to do every day, Jeff, is on yourself.
Yep. Yep. You need to enroll yourself in your greatness every day.
Enroll yourself in your greatness every day and connect with wonderful people like yourself.
Yeah.
That are out there doing the same thing.
Yep. Yep. Well, I am so glad that you were able to make time to be on Defying Expectations Over 60 today. Remind people where they can, what the name of your podcast, because the beauty of a podcast or something that exists virtually is you can go binge listen.
Yes.
Right. So you can go back if you resonate with anything that Jeffrey said today, you can go back and listen to his podcasts like all in a row and find out, what he's sharing.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's actually Conversations with Jeff YouTube channel, Conversations with Jeffrey Tyson.
Okay.
Jeff with a G, right?
And an O-R-Y.
O-R-Y. Thank you very much.
It is not a typo.
It's not a typo. And that whole name is another conversation we need to have, boy. For a while, I had to fight for that name, but I love it today.
Yep.
Conversations with Jeff Tyson, or my email, jeffctyson@gmail.com.
That's
love
perfect.
to hear from you. Thank you again for the opportunity. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know that we've got so much in common about the things that we're studying and learning. I know that we will be in touch more often. So thank you for being here. I will put Jeff's information and how to contact him and his YouTube channel in the comments on let's see, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, which is where we're live now. And if you're listening live, I'd love to see a hashtag live. And if you're listening on replay, a hashtag replay, just so that I can know that you're there, and Jeffrey can see you too. And thank you again, Jeff, for being on this show, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. You do the same. Look forward to having you on the show. So be sure and follow her.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. So I'm going to be on Conversations with Jeff. We don't have a date yet, but we're going to do it.
That's exactly right. Looking forward to it, Suki. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. Bye now.
Bye.